What is going on, you beautiful bastards? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I am Brandon Sylvia. Thank you all for stopping by and tuning in today to talk about some Game Awards 2022 predictions for reveal trailers, for announcement trailers, for updates, and then all the in-betweens. Some things that will get announced at the Game Awards, things that I'm predicting will get announced at the Game Awards. Also got some hopes in there as well, some hopes and predictions. That way, predictions are I'm trying to be a little bit more conservative with that, a little bit safer, and then we can get into the wild shit with the hopes. But yeah, I do think that we should have an okay Game Awards this year with the reveals and announcements and shit. There's so many big 2023 games that we don't really know a lot about. So you would think that a lot of these publishers are going to want to use the Game Awards to get more information out about release dates and this and that. So hopefully, they can use that to build up some marketing, build up some hype for these games, and we can get some damn good trailers and new information about highly anticipated games launching next year. So, but I do want to preface everything by saying that try to keep expectations low, and when you get hyped, if something cool pops up, then just get hyped, but keep the expectations low. That way you're not going into it and you're like, damn, that show really sucked because I let my expectations get the best of me. That's happened to me plenty of times. So, yeah, and it'll probably happen to me again this year. But I'm trying to be a little bit safer here with the predictions. With that being said, though, I still have some crazy shit on my list here for predictions, and it's kind of just throwing a dart at the damn board, trying to get a couple of bullseyes here. I'm not trying to hit the mark, hit the bull. I don't know how to fucking play darts, but I'm not trying to get a bullseye on everything here. Just, what do I have, like 12 predictions or so? If I can get a couple, 3-4 bullseyes out of 12, then I think we still have a pretty damn good show on our hands here. And I don't know if somehow you may have stumbled upon this video trying to find my predictions for the winners of the 2022 Game Awards, but if you are looking for that, I could see how the algorithm could maybe kick this video in the mix of those videos, because Game Awards predictions, it's kind of similar to... Anyways, that video will be in the linked in the description below. All right, now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into these predictions. Going to try to run through these fairly quickly here. This is just sort of a companion piece, a little side piece to the Game Awards 2022 winners predictions, but I did want to get it out, and that video was already so damn long, so I didn't want to attach another 20-minute video to it, but we're going to try to keep this short, breeze through it nice, quick, and easy here. Here we go. So my first prediction is... We know Keighley and Kojima are thick as thieves. They got a damn podcast that they're doing together. Keighley's like popping up on Kojima's podcast and some shit. But I'm hoping that we don't get another podcast announcement or any more information about Kojima's podcast. I'm hoping that the Game Awards is a respected entity and Kojima will pop up with a new game, either Death Stranding 2 or Overdose. It can be whichever one. I really don't care. I just want to see something new from Kojima. And the only thing with Death Stranding, I kind of wonder, it's just this weird thing where PlayStation is so ambivalent right now. They're so hard to pin down because it seems like they're not doing showcases. It seems like they're not doing state of plays at the moment. So it's like, okay, usually I would think Death Stranding would announce at a showcase, a PlayStation showcase. But at the moment, I'm just like, I don't know. I guess it could pop up at the Game Awards, and that would be just fine if they're not going to showcase like the Silent Hills and Final Fantasy 16. So we don't know anything else about quite a bit of other shit. So it's like, could Death Stranding just pop up at the Game Awards and that be Sony's way for marketing it? I would guess that would be fine if they're not going to do their own showcases, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But I think Overdose could be that smaller scale game, and maybe it wouldn't take as long to crank that out if that's like the cloud game or whatever. But regardless, just something from Kojima. I don't care what it is. I'm predicting we get something new from Kojima that's not a podcast, like a new game announcement. All right, and staying sort of on track there, in relation to Kojima, there's been so much damn rumor and speculation about Konami reviving Metal Gear Solid. Obviously, Kojima won't be attached to this project, but we have the official confirmation for Silent Hill. And I feel like this is up next. Metal Gear is up next. And this is maybe wishing for the stars a little bit here. I'll give you that. I'll grant you that. I'm hopeful on this one. But if Konami's back in the mix, then Metal Gear has to get a remake. And the latest rumor is that 3 is going to be the first game that gets remade. And we see that Konami is A-okay with having Silent Hill 2 remade before 1, so I'm assuming they'd be okay with having Metal Gear Solid 3 remade before 2 and 1. I guess chronologically that would make some sense with Metal Gear Solid 3, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 announcement trailer at the Game Awards. I'm not expecting really anything else. Death Stranding, if we get a Death Stranding 2, I'm expecting the trailer to be incredibly teasy and not offering up much context for anything at all. Maybe slight cinematics. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was just like a logo trailer. And with Metal Gear Solid 3, I would expect maybe something like on the scale of what we got with that Silent Hill 2 trailer, which, to be totally fair, the Silent Hill 2 trailer actually did feature quite a bit of decent details. So if we got something on that level for Metal Gear Solid 3, I would be absolutely stoked. But I'm going to predict we see it. That's going to be kind of my one outlandish real prediction that I'm locking in here. All right, next up, Jedi Survivor. We got to see a release date for Jedi Survivor. It was rumored that Survivor was going to be launching like mid-2023. I think they were saying it was trying to schedule for a March release date or June release. I don't remember. But there was rumor that Jedi Survivor was going to try and launch sometime like mid-2023-ish. So if that's the case, then you would think we probably need a release date trailer sometime soon. They also have the action figures rolling out, and they have old Cal Kestis. I don't know if you guys have saw this. Cal Kestis has his little damn gun. So it's like, oh, are we going to be getting some third-person shooter vibes going on from Respawn here? Are we going to be getting some Han Solo vibes going on with Jedi Survivor? Also combined with the Force, combined with the lightsaber. Like, some cool shit could be going on there. Next up. Oh, so I don't know if I finished my prediction there. I'm just saying, Jedi Survivor release date trailer, official release date confirmed, announced here at the Game Awards. That's my prediction. Lock it in. Take it to the bank. Bet your house on it. And don't complain to me when you lose your house. Next up, Dragon Age 4 cinematic reveal trailer. We just heard that BioWare was exiting alpha, entering beta for their development with Dragon Age 4. And that would at least lead you to believe that this game's probably on track for late 2024, early 2025. So perfect time to reignite the fan base a little bit. Let them know, hey, we're trying, just throw a 2024 window on there. Let people know it's in the works. It's coming down the pipeline smoothly, and it'll be out to you sometime soon. Just a little cinematic glimpse into the worlds we'll be exploring, to the characters we'll get to know. Wouldn't hurt. All we have now is that little just very brief kind of nothing trailer, so just a little bit more detail would be nice if they are indeed preparing to launch the game within the next like year and a half or so. And next up, Lies of P. Got to be getting a release date on that sometime soon. Game Pass day one. Very excited for that. The nice twist on the Souls formula by actually giving you some story context and making some decisions that impact the narrative and actually impact your character's performance. I'm so stoked to see that. And we've saw a lot of gameplay for Lies of P. And so I think it's about time to get that official release date. Going back to Game Pass, AEW Fight Forever was recently rumored to be a day one Game Pass get. And when I first saw that, I was like, there's no chance they're going to Game Pass day one. It was like that's just so hard for me to believe. Why would they not try to test the market at least for a little bit? I mean, it's a brand new game. Like the thing could sell like hotcakes. You never know. But the more I started to think about it, I was like, you're building a brand, you have a user base with Game Pass, 25 plus million players, and if your main strategy right now is to become synonymous with wrestling in the same way that WWE is, really doesn't hurt to just put your product in front of as many eyeballs as possible, especially when considering this is kind of an old school throwback wrestling game. And when I think of Game Pass and what it provides the most value to, or what it provides me the most value with, is trying things that I usually wouldn't try or usually wouldn't buy. So for instance, Immortality is one of my favorite games of 2022. I would never have bought that. I would never have tried that if it wasn't on Game Pass. And I think to something like a wrestling game where people have some sort of built-in nostalgia for it potentially, where it's like, yeah, I used to watch it in the 90s or the early 2000s or the late 80s, whatever, and I just kind of got out of it. But there's still that little connection to where people, they kind of have that nostalgic tie. And then, if people who have that nostalgic tie are also nostalgic for those Aki, old school, WWF No Mercy style games, then it's like, oh shit, they see this game coming to Game Pass, and your market, your eyeballs expand exponentially. You have so many more players who are like, okay, well, yeah, I'm willing to give this thing a go. And if you actually can deliver on something really solid, then you're building brand recognition instantly with a player pool of 25 plus million players. So it kind of did make more sense to me the more I thought about it. And I actually think it's kind of a smart business strategy to drop that day one on Game Pass. And then if it's a huge success, the next game, obviously you sell a la carte and put a $60 price tag on it, and people be more than willing to buy it. Next up, Assassin's Creed Mirage. I know that Ubisoft usually does their own little reveal forward events and all that shit, but I think that if you drop a little 55-second gameplay trailer here, just a quick glimpse at the gameplay, you're not going too in-depth with the systems or anything, but the Game Awards, speaking to having mass appeal and a mass audience, the Game Awards has like 80 million viewers each year. So it's like, if Assassin's Creed is going to launch in 2023, which I believe it will, why not get that thing out in front of 80 million people and just show a quick glimpse at gameplay, and then do your Ubisoft Forward where you dive deep into the systems and all that. So if this thing's going to drop in 2023, I think it makes all the sense in the world for it to get a Game Awards, a little gameplay trailer. And it would be the first look at gameplay, which I do think would be a nice get for Keighley. So Remedy recently confirmed that Alan Wake 2 is still on track for 2023. Alan Wake 2 originally had its first reveal trailer at the Game Awards in 2021. We've went around the sun, and it's time for Remedy to pop back up with Alan Wake 2 at the Game Awards. Gameplay trailer, release date trailer. I think it's about that time. Even if it's just a window, holiday 2023, I'm assuming this will be a late holiday 2023 game. But, if it fits in that Halloween window, absolutely perfect. Just so excited to see what Remedy can do, just leaning full tilt into survival horror. Cannot wait to see what they crank out there. And next I have Suicide Squad. Another little look at gameplay with a release window. This is one that I very well could see, trying to launch for a holiday 2023 window, and then getting delayed until 2024, especially with the reception to Gotham Knights. And Gotham Knights felt like it had all the making in the world to be a live service game, and that kind of initially, or that ended up, they seemed like it pulled the plug on that idea. And it seems like Suicide Squad is leaning full tilt into that idea. And I will say, for a live service-based game, the gameplay that we saw of it last year looked okay, decent. So we'll see. I'm not expecting the world out of this thing, but I do think that it's about time to put some sort of release window on it if it's still going to try to hit 2023. Like I said, I could see this getting delayed till 2024. I could see this going horribly wrong. Just being totally honest, these AAA live service games, they just don't have a great track record. They just don't seem to do that well, especially in the fucking superhero universe. So I don't know. My hopes are not high, but I guess I'm hoping for the best or whatever. Last but certainly not least, Diablo 4 release date trailer. It was recently rumored that Diablo 4, I believe, was trying to launch in March or so. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have it pulled up, but I believe it was trying to launch. The rumor was that it was going to be launching sometime like Marchish. And if that's the case, you have your Game Awards announcement with the release date. Pre-orders available now, and yada yada yada. People can go pre-order the game, get your money up, and use the Game Awards as your nice little marketing arm to push your product. I'm excited for Diablo 4, but I do think that it should have a high likelihood of popping up here if it is indeed going to launch in just a few months. So those are actually, I do have one more, but I'm not too sure on this, which I'm not really sure on any of it. But there was recent rumor that a Crash game was in development, brand new Crash game was in development, but I never read, and I think I just read the headline on it like a fucking idiot, never clicked on the article. So I don't know if there's any validity to that at all, but it would be great. And I do think when you're looking at Game Pass and you're looking at the need to fill different sort of pockets and genres, having an action platformer is very much needed on that service, especially when the deal is complete, if it gets completed. And having Crash Bandicoot launch day one in Game Pass is a fucking that's a titan move. That would be industry shaking if Crash Bandicoot launched day one on Game Pass, a game that was built, or a game that pretty much built PlayStation 1, with that and Twisted Metal and a couple others. It just synonymous with PlayStation, and then to see it launch day one on Game Pass, that would be just mind-blowing. But that would probably be the fate for the next Crash game, which would be great to get more players involved with it. But yeah, so that is going to be my final prediction. The Crash one I'm sort of iffy on, but it would be cool to see that pop up. But I should have read more on those rumors to see if any of that shit was true, which most rumors you really never know if they're true or not. But regardless, time to get into the hopes. This is the fun shit. The predictions, trying to be somewhat safe, somewhat conservative there, because if we had, let's just say, like I said, if we have 4 or so of those announcements come true, you get a pretty good show. There's nothing to complain about if you get a long look at Lies of P, a Dragon Age 4 cinematic trailer, and a Jedi Survivor release date, and Suicide Squad gameplay. That's a okay little Game Awards show just right there in and of itself, those 4 games. But the hopes, this is where we get a little bit off the wall, get a little bit crazy, talk about some shit that you just want to see. In a perfect world, some shit that you would want to see. So I'm going to kick this off with talking about Sony, talking about PlayStation, because they are a very confusing, hard to read company at this point. I don't know if it's all because of the CMA investigation and shit, and they're not trying to look like a powerhouse, so that's why they didn't have Silent Hill 2 at a showcase. That's why they didn't have the Final Fantasy 16 trailer that got announced the day after the showcase, the Forspoken trailer that got announced the Final Fantasy 16 trailer that got announced the day after the Silent Hill showcase, and then the Forspoken trailer that got announced 3 days after the Silent Hill showcase, which all of that stuff definitely seemed to have been perfectly lined up to be its own little PlayStation State of Player showcase, and it just didn't turn out that way. And it does make you kind of wonder, are they trying to avoid shining a light on how many different third-party exclusive deals they have going on and shit? So I don't know. If that is true, then you got to think that if PlayStation's trying to stay meek and in the background, then they're going to need to use these other outlets to market their games. And you start thinking, do you see a Spider-Man 2 trailer at the Game Awards? That would be totally antithetical to everything that they've kind of built up over the last few years of trying to do all that shit in house. But it's like, I guess at this point, anything is kind of possible. Do you see Wolverine or Ghost of Tsushima 2, fucking Factions 2? I mean, there's so much stuff. Twisted Metal, some of that live service garbage that they're trying to throw out there. I mean, it's just there's so many question marks in the PlayStation ecosystem. The Sony Bend new open world live service thing, the London studio open world live service thing. Like, they have so many. They're supposed to have damn 10 live service games announced within the next 2 years. At some point, we have to start seeing more on this stuff. And okay, let's just say that will be reserved for a showcase because it's first party, and it's like, okay, we're cool with acknowledging all the first party stuff we have in development because, yeah, it's being built in house, and we're just trying to keep the light away from the fact that we have so many third party and second party deals going on ourselves, because that's sort of a roundabout way of what's all being discussed within this CMA, debriefing or whatever you want to call it. So do we see some of those second or third party PlayStation games announced here? There's all, like, you had the Stellar Blade game that's kind of the Bayonetta clone. I don't want to say clone, but it kind of looks like a more graphically impressive Bayonetta style game. You had that new, the rumor for that Bates, that fucking Ballistic Moon Bates game that's based off of Psycho, I believe. Final Fantasy 16 obviously could pop back up. It seems to be getting new trailers, new deep looks into the game all the time, so I'm sure that's more than ready to show off something else again. Silent Hill 2, like, if that is launching anytime soon, it can use all the marketing that it can get. I know that this next one is quite a long shot, but if Knights of the Old Republic Remake has any shot in hell of ever releasing, then this wouldn't be a bad place to reappear, to pop back up. And I'm hopeful for that Knights of the Old Republic game. That's probably one of my more anticipated games in development, just in general, for any studio. Like, if you could say, hey, give me 10 minutes hands-on with any game in development right now in the world, that would definitely be up there with just one that I'm so curious to see more about. My hopes aren't really high for it. My expectations aren't really high for it, but goddamn, if the potential is not there to make something truly remarkable. But yeah, you have Pacific Drive that we saw at the last State of Play that looked absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. Could that pop back up? There's just so many question marks in the Sony ecosystem. First party, second party, third party. I really don't know what to expect, but I would say I kind of do expect something, and I like I said, we're into the hopes realm. We're more into just talking about the hopes here. I'm not like trying to make obviously not trying to make a prediction based off of a hope, but I am sort of somewhat predicting that I think we could see some sort of game that's involved with Sony on some level, maybe second or third party, pop up here. I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibility, just given the fact that they're seeming to want to divert attention from all their second and third party goings on as much as possible. So we shall see. Dude, you know what I really want more than anything? I want a fucking Naughty Dog spy game, like a Metal Gear, but developed in-house, single-player Naughty Dog. And I obviously they have to do their run with Factions, and there's rumors of a new Uncharted and all that, but I would love to see what Naughty Dog could do with, like, getting a little bit back into that vein of a Nathan Drake style experience of you're just playing as this spy, and it's a little bit more, kind of James Bond-esque, which actually that's a good one. Another good one that I would very much hope to see is IO's Bond game. It's been a long ass time since we've seen that, and it might be a long ass time until we ever get the game. I believe they recently said that they're not expecting to launch another big AAA game until like 2024. So you would assume that would probably be the Bond game in 2024. So we probably have quite a bit of time until we get that IO interactive Bond game. But it is the Game Awards. If you have anything to show, this is definitely one of the places to show it. We do know that Mafia, where we're getting a new Mafia game that is supposed to be set in like the Prohibition era, and it's kind of a prequel to all the events that occurred with Mafia 1, 2, 3. So I believe it is still canon with that universe and should have some ties with those other games, I'm guessing. But we do know it's in development, very, very early stages of development, but I wouldn't expect it to pop up, but goddamn, I would love to see it if it is far enough along to actually see something that's indicative of the final game that we will get, which I don't believe that's possible at the stage that it's in right now, because I think it just began development last year. So BioShock is another one that's always on the tip of everybody's tongue. We do know it's in development. That's about all we really know about BioShock, but at any time this thing has to pop its head up. It has to show up at some point sometime. So I'd love to see it. Now, we have to talk about some Xbox stuff here. There's a lot to talk about, an absolute fuck ton to talk about. Now, you really don't even know where to begin with all this. Avowed would be great to see. That's like we talked about earlier with KOTOR. Of any game I could see that's in development, Avowed would be absolutely at the top of that list. I love Obsidian. I love pretty much everything they've created, and I'm just dying to see more on Avowed. Do I expect it? Probably not. I'm expecting that to be a probably late 2024 style release. Hellblade, I think this is probably the most likely out of anything with Xbox first party, because we did see it. I think once again that was Game Awards last year as well. Was the first time we saw the I shouldn't say deep dive, but the dive at the very least into Hellblade's combat and gameplay. So getting a little bit more on that, I think, could be possible. Wouldn't say likely, but at least possible. A very, very, very long shot Fable with, oh Jesus Christ, what is the Playground? The people who made Forza Horizon, working on Fable. I have very high hopes for that game. Obviously, this is a studio that is not familiar with role-playing games, but I'm curious to see what that looks like. Is it going to be like ultra realistic? Are we going to have a super realistic looking Fable game? That would be. I'd be kind of curious to see how they pull it off, because it's just more in my brain. It just has more of a cartoony sort of aesthetic. But I'd definitely be down to see a different take on it, a different, reimagined formula that Playground is coming up with. But we do know that they can create some of the most photorealistic looking worlds out of any developer out there. So, hell yeah. Perfect Dark is obviously another one that a lot of people are wondering about. Starfield, a Starfield release date, I think, could make sense here if you're looking at it because here's the thing. If Starfield is actually going to launch before June 2023, which is what Xbox, the whole event that they had in 2022, the Xbox Bethesda Showcase, that was supposed to be highlighting only games that were going to launch within a year time frame of that show. So if that is the case, you would think that Starfield would have to pop up here and get its release date, because like what other big showcase is taking place from now until June? You know what I mean? So like you would think that would be where Starfield would get its release date. Obviously, I think pretty much you, me, and everybody else is expecting this game to get delayed until probably holiday 2023, which I'm A-okay with. Take your time. We do not need another Cyberpunk situation. I think Starfield looks fucking incredible, and I want to play it when it's, fine-tuned and about as polished as Bethesda can get it. In Exile's new game, supposedly this robust first-person shooter RPG anything on that would be incredible. Matt Booty recently did an interview where he was talking about seeing a vertical slice of it, and everybody, him and everybody else in the room, being really wowed by what In Exile was cranking out there. So, obviously it'd be incredible to see that. Compulsion's new game, which has just been radio silent. Supposedly it's going to be a third-person action-adventure kind of story-driven, narrative-focused experience. I think that team has a lot of potential to do something really good if they're given a proper budget and proper backing. So, yeah, you have that. You have State of Decay 3, which we know the coalition is assisting development on. So you're thinking probably a lot more visually impressive when we finally do see State of Decay 3. And I think even if you think back to that cinematic trailer that was, 2020 or so, that character model was very impressive. Obviously, it was just CG and all that, but like, if they're trying to use that as some sort of representation of what you can expect with the cinematics in the game, then I think we could get something really fucking special with State of Decay 3. Indiana Jones from Machine Games, the people who give you your Wolfenstein games. I really have no idea what this is going to be like at all. I'm so curious, skeptical, whatever you want to call it, on this Indiana Jones game. But I'm expecting that's probably a ways out. I'm expecting State of Decay 3. I don't know. I don't think State of Decay 3 is too unrealistic to get a re-reveal here or anything like that. Also, that Contraband game, that's Xbox exclusive, the one that's being made by Avalanche, the people who made Just Cause. And we haven't heard anything about that since, I believe, 2020, E3 2020, I think was the last time we heard anything about that. So we'll see. We'll see if anything's going on with that. Anything Xbox. Honestly, I'm just curious to see anything. It's just, I don't know. We got to start getting some stuff. I love Game Pass. You guys hear me supporting it all the time, but we got to get those games rolling. They got to start hitting, man. It's if 2023 is another drought, then that's a real rough start for, 3 years into your console generation and then still waiting on first party software. Like that shit has to start getting kicked out on a more regular cadence. And I do think they will hit it. And I do think when we really start getting it, it's going to be like oh my God, just a constant flow of games, first party games hitting Game Pass and releasing on like every 2-3 month basis. But we got to get into that flow eventually here, because it's taken quite some time. Legacy of Kain, Legacy of Kain, that they put out that survey about 2 months ago or so now, where Embracer was saying, hey, are you interested in a Legacy of Kain revitalization, either in the form of a remake, remaster, port, whatever. And it got a lot of traction, a lot of backing, and I think that we will get Legacy of Kain at some point. Is it too early now? Probably so, but there's always, recruitment trailers that are thrown up as soon as a game gets greenlit to let people know, okay, hey, we're hiring for Legacy of Kain. If anybody has passion or interest in working in this franchise, then, doesn't hurt to throw out the recruitment trailer, throw out the bat signal, and see if you can get some talent to bite on it. So those are kind of my hopes, man. Of course, I can go on and on. I'll always throw out X-Men. Always throw out fucking X-Men. I want to see, and I talked about this in the Game Awards prediction, but I just want to see goddamn X-Men in the vein of Hogwarts Legacy. Like, I want an X-Men game that is just like that. That's all I want. Which, that's a big ask, but I feel like that shit would sell like hotcakes. I think X-Men is a big enough brand for something like that to really, really move some units. But that's going to be it for me. That's going to be it for the hopes. I could throw down 100 more things on there, but that's going to be what we cover today. And we'll go over some more hopes at a later date. I always have different things that I'm wanting to see pop up in this damn crazy, chaotic brain of mine. But I'm just hoping for at least a solid enough show here where we get like maybe 5, 6, 7 big announcements that we weren't expecting And that's enough for me. Even 4 or 5 announcements that like we truly weren't expecting, and then having, some updates on games that we already knew about, that's more than enough for me to be satisfied. As long as the show's not just crazy bloated. Like we don't need 4 hours, we don't need 4 hours. 2.5, 3 hours is just fine for sure. If there was a little bit more focus on giving the awards out and all of that, and the developers getting to come up and give their acceptance speeches, and that would be really cool. But yeah, I think a 3 hour show is okay. Get your ads in there, show off the new games, give some awards out. Like, no need for it to be 4 hours. But regardless, I am very, very damn excited. I always look forward to this shit. It disappoints here and there, but I always look forward to it. It's just a good time of the year. It really is. Just good vibes, and just nice to get excited about video games. So let me know what you're excited about. Let me know what you're predicting. Let me know what you're hoping. Whatever the hell you want to discuss. I will be putting out a what I am playing within the next few days. Still got to finish up God of War Ragnarok. But finished up Bayonetta 3. Finished up the chant. Going to finish up God of War Ragnarok. And I will get that video out to you in a few days. So I appreciate you all for tuning in. Like I said, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you're predicting to be shown off at the Game Awards. And yeah, man. I appreciate you all for tuning in. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.